Banana chocolate muffins are really simple to make. For this recipe, you're going to need a muffin tin that holds 12 muffins. If you don't have liners, you want to have it to be non-stick, or you're going to need to spray and grease each little tin. Then preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. In a medium bowl, we're going to use a sifter. If you don't have a sifter, you can use a wire whisk. We're going to add 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, 40 grams. You can use any type of cocoa you like here. The better quality the cocoa, the better your chocolate muffins will turn out. Next, you're going to add 1 cup of flour, that's 150 grams. You want to add in plain, ordinary, all-purpose flour. Then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda, that's 3 grams, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, that's 2.5 grams. If you have self-rising flour, you can skip the baking soda and salt. And since we're using cocoa, we can use baking soda instead of baking powder, but if you didn't have baking soda, you can substitute it in equal amounts for baking powder. Next, we're going to add in 3/4 cup of sugar, or 150 grams. If you like really sweet chocolate, you can add another 1/4 cup or 50 grams of sugar. Sift your ingredients together and then try to push through any of the lumps of cocoa powder. Now at the end, you may have some extra bits and bobs that won't go through the sifter. You have 2 options here. You can discard this, or you can just go ahead and dump it into your batter if it's not lumpy. I've decided to go ahead and keep it because it's thicker grains of sugar. And then we're just going to whisk this together until it's nice and combined. Now let's move on to our bananas. The more speckled a banana is, the sweeter it's going to be and the more sugar content that's going to be in it. The less speckled, like this one, it's going to be less sugar content and it will have less of a banana flavor. I like to use a combination of the both because I like the texture it gives. However, you could use the really ripe ones if you want the taste of banana to really shine through. You want 2 large bananas or 218 grams. Of course, you can use whatever you have on hand. I like to put it in a separate bowl and mash them with a fork, but you can also use a blender if you want them really fine. And of course, I share some with Maggie, Raymond, and Jackson. They go bananas for bananas. So maybe I have a little bit less than 2 bananas in the recipe. It still works out. That's the point. So just mash these up. The really firm banana is more difficult to mash than the softer banana. The softer banana only takes a few moments. The firmer banana will take a little bit more effort, but I like that because then I end up with some chunks of banana throughout the muffin. And then you just take a few moments to do this. It doesn't take a lot of effort or time. Once you get the bananas mashed up to the consistency you like, you set them aside and then you move on to the wet ingredients. In a large bowl, we have 2 large eggs or 100 grams, and we're just going to scramble them briefly just to get them broken up, and then we're going to add in some oil. You can use canola, vegetable, coconut, whatever type of oil you like. 1/3 cup, 80 milliliters. You can even use melted butter as long as it equals 1/3 cup. Pour that in, and then we're going to add in some vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon or 2.5 milliliters. If you don't have vanilla, you can skip it. It just gives a nice little depth of flavor in the end. Mix this until it's well combined, and then we're going to add in our bananas from earlier and then our cocoa mixture. Now don't do the same thing I did and try to stir this with your whisk. It's just going to get completely clogged up. You're going to have to tap it out and then finish it with a spoon or a spatula. So just skip this part and go straight to a spoon to mix this together. Scrape down the sides as needed and don't overmix this. Just a few folds will do, about 30 seconds or so. It will be a thick batter and you should see chunks of banana. Divide this equally among your tins, and a cookie scoop is really handy here, but it's not necessary. You can just use a spoon, and it's about 2 to 3 tablespoons of batter in each little tin. Bake the muffins 16 to 20 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. The center should read 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 degrees Celsius when they're done. You want to leave them in the pan for 5 minutes before removing them to a wire rack to finish cooling. You can eat these while they're still warm and they're absolutely delicious, but I like to chill them down, and then that flavor of the cocoa and the banana really commingle together and taste absolutely beautiful. I always have the hardest time peeling off the wrapper, and I don't know why I put them in wrappers other than the fact that they're easier to store for individual use later. They are so soft and delicious with just the right crumb, and that banana is speckled throughout. It tastes wonderful. I hope that you enjoyed this recipe. Here are your ingredients if you want to follow along. Thank you for visiting us at jacksonsjob.com. And as always, Happy baking!